The score was 68-66. The home team had just came back from down 20 points, and you could feel the tension in the visitor section of the crowd. Of course, the home crowd was all hyped up. Their team just came back and has a chance to win the ball game. I go to the free throw line with 2 free throws. 68-66, 1 minute and 30 remaining. I have to make these 2 to tie the ball game. Huge 2 shots for the momentum of the basketball game. I step up, sink the first. The second one, too strong. Today I'll be talking to you about the proper fundamentals of how to shoot a free throw, which include your body position, your routine, and your mechanics. So hopefully in examining these topics, we can look back and discover just why I missed the free throw. The first one we have is body position. Now when we think about body position, first of all, where do we line up? We got the whole free throw line. Where exactly do we stand? Well, you always want to be in the center, right towards the hoop. So if you look in the center, there's always a nail that's going to tell you exactly where the exact center of the free throw line is. So you're going to want to put your shooting foot up to there. So if you're right-handed, that's going to be your right foot. If you're left-handed, that's going to be your left foot. Okay? The second thing is your shoulders. Make sure your shoulders align up with the backboard. You want to be on line with your elbow tucked in, straight towards the hoop. Focus on the rim and nothing else. You got to lock in on the hoop. The next thing we have is routine. You see here, you have multiple different routines. Jason Kidd blew a kiss towards the rim before he shot. Westbrook goes through a breathing technique. And you see here a spinning technique. There's all different kinds, but what I would suggest is make sure you get a few dribbles in, slow your breathing down, and concentrate, find the hoop. Okay? Because what that's going to allow you to do is to slow down your nerves, block out everything, and focus purely on you shooting that free throw. Okay? And the last thing we have here are the mechanics of shooting a free throw. So first of all, we'll start off with hand placement. You see right here, one hand under the ball, one on the side. This is called your guide hand. This is called your shooting hand if you're right-handed. Shooting hand, guide hand. Make sure that the guide hand stays on the side and doesn't direct the basketball, and make sure it's straight through. You want to feel the ball on your fingertips, because if you put it in your palm, it's going to affect the direction of your shot. So balance the ball on your fingertips as you see right here. Now, the next thing we talked about is that his elbow is tucked in on line with the hoop. Okay? His head needs to make sure your head is steady and on target with your head, because if it's going side to side, that's going to affect which way you shoot the basketball, and it's going to affect what? Your balance. Okay? Then the very next step is your legs. You always want to have a slight bend. Some do a slight bend, some get all the way down and use all of their legs. It's all about finding that proper touch to get it to the hoop. If you're not as strong, you're going to have to use more legs, but if you're kind of a little bit strong, you don't have to use as much legs, but you need to make sure you use some, because when the game gets late, you're going to be tired and you're going to need your legs because your upper body will be tired. Now the next thing is to make sure that your lower body and your upper body align, that they're in one motion. So you don't want your lower body starting, but your upper body doesn't go along with it. So you don't want to do this, come up and then shoot, because it's not one motion. There's too many moving parts. You need to make sure this is repeatable so that you can repeat this process every time and make your free throws. Okay, so how exactly do we do this? Well, there's a teaching technique called BEEF. Balance, eyes, elbow, follow through. And as the great Travis Scott said, find your balance, okay? So, we talk about going to the free throw line, head on target, everything. That's your balance. Your eyes locating the rim, your elbow tucked in, and your follow through. You're gonna reach in, and you could either say you're reaching in the rim for cookies, or you're sprinkling a little seasoning on the salad, okay? So, as Don Kilbeck and Brian McCormick said, 2 guys that are basketball coaches and philosophers of the basketball game, you need to find a way for all of this to be repeatable. That's how you're going to make your money at the free throw line. Okay, so let's go back to why I missed the free throw. Well, you could go through all these mechanics and everything, and there certainly probably was something wrong, but I think the biggest thing for me was my routine. I was too nervous. I let the crowd affect me, and I knew I had to make it, and that forced me to be too nervous and be too strong with the basketball. Okay, so going back through, to shoot a free throw properly, you need to make sure your body position is in the right spot. You need to have a proper routine, and your mechanics need to be on point. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the speech, and with that, are there any questions?
How exactly does Travis Scott relate to shooting a free throw?
Right. Travis Scott, a great musician nowadays. I would say with him, how I relate it, I try to find correlations between everything, and when I think about him is when we say find your balance, that's one of the most essential points in a free throw. And so that can really help me relay the message, because in one of his lines of the song, he says, balance, find your balance. God said it's my talent. So when I think God said it's my talent, that's me envisioning making the free throw. That's God telling me, hey, you got to make this free throw because I'm on your side. And then you sprinkle a little season on the salad. Okay, that's following through. So all that, Travis Scott right there, I think that's the best part that really relates to shooting a free throw, because you can correlate it, you know? Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Yeah.
Why can't you jump when you take a free throw?
Okay, very interesting dynamic. You've seen people actually do it before. Why you don't jump? Travis Scott, balance. When you're jumping, you're not always on balance. So when you're trying to repeat a process of shooting a free throw, there's no one around you. There's no reason to really jump. You can use your legs without jumping. So you want to repeat the process, and every time you jump, it's hard to repeat because you're jumping a different height every single time. And when you're tired, you're going to jump a different height versus when you're not. So it's just an interesting dynamic. You really just need to find your balance. Any other questions? All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the speech and learned how to shoot a free throw today. I will show the teacher my note card. This is the front of it. Didn't know that we weren't allowed to use the back, so I scratched all that off.